In this video, we'll talk about the color dodge and color burn blend modes, two of the lesser-known blending modes. Using them, you can do color dodge and burn at the same time as you do color grading. Adobe says color burn darkens the base color to reflect the blend color by increasing the contrast between the two. Blending with white produces no change. For color dodge, Adobe says brighten the base color to reflect the blend color by decreasing the contrast between the two. Blending with black produces no change. And now more simple, color burn is increasing the contrast, color dodge is decreasing the contrast. It was a beautiful afternoon in Rome when I took this photo. But I would rather have a more warm atmosphere in the picture. A bit more like this. To have this result, I did on color grading and dodge and burn. When we talk about a more warm atmosphere, we think of colors like red or roughly red for the darker areas. To keep the image balanced, we look at the color wheel. Opposite colors give a more peace of mind. The color wheel shows us, in an RGB world, that the opposite of red is cyan, and so we use that for the highlights. We add a solid color adjustment layer and fill it with red. We set the blending mode to color burn. We lower the fill slider to about 15%, and we lower the opacity slider to about 50%. Color burn belongs to the dark group and darkens the darkest parts. We don't want the darkest parts of the photo to be made even darker. That's why we are going to protect the darkest parts via the underlying layer in BlendIF. In our example, we do the protection in the underlying layer from 0 to 72. We rename the blending layer. We add a new solid color adjustment layer and fill it with cyan. We set the blending mode to color dodge. Bring down the fill slider to 15% and the opacity slider to 50%. We rename the color dodge layer. We made a group of the two layers. This is before and this is after. Let's do something else. Earlier we replaced the sky in this image, and now we want to play with the saturation. We created a stamp layer. We add a hue saturation adjustment layer. We do not make a change in the adjustment layer, but change the blending mode to color burn. We lower the fill layer to about 7, 8 or 9%. And also here with BlendIF we protect the darkest parts. To do so, we keep an eye on the statue. We add another hue saturation adjustment layer. Do not change a thing on the adjustment layer, but change the blending mode in Color Dodge. The image has brightened a lot. We set the fill layer to 13, 14, 15%. We protect the highlights with the blend diff sliders. We group the two layers. Before, after. Before, after. We created much more depth in this image. Here's another example. London is a beautiful city in many ways. This lovely lady walked past my lens and she had no objections to be photographed. To make the photo more vivid, we use the Color Dodge and Color Burn blending modes again. We add a hue saturation adjustment layer and put the blending mode on Color Burn. We first reduce the fill layer to somewhere around 8, 9 or 10. And then we reduce the opacity slider to the level that we like. To protect the darkest zones, we use blend diff, the underlying layer, and we reduce the black point. Again, we add the hue saturation adjustment layer and change the blending mode to Color Dodge. We toggle first the fill slider and then the opacity slider. Using blend diff, we protect the brightest parts. We click on the icon of the adjustment layer and can toggle with the saturation slider. We do so for the dodge and for the burn layer. We group the two layers. And this is before, and this is after.